I long very deeply for kindred spirits. I long for souls who, like me, are haunted by a deep yearning for beauty and poetry and profundity and deep, deep tenderness and sensitivity, who yearn for a gentle touch. I long for those who feel the vital, the essential, the existential need for romance, who feel a deep romantic calling within themselves, undying, unending, unquenchable, eternal. I long for those who have a deep, poetic, romantic passion. A passion which lies constantly dormant, unlived, unseen, unexpressed, frustrated, because they can't find the right people who appreciate and who would reciprocate this very special, this holy passion. I long for those whose greatest desire is love. To be in love. Who love to be in love. And who see the whole purpose, the whole life's purpose in love. Who wish to drown in love. To perish in love. To become one with love and with the beloved and with the whole of existence. I long for those who deeply long for sensitivity and who themselves are very tender and very sensitive souls, and for whom the world is just too coarse, too brutish, too crude, and too loveless. I long for those who are in search for a safe haven, a tender bosom to rest on, and to cry on, and to lean upon. I long for those who feel too deeply for this world, this reality, who are too fragile for the rough edges of this existence. I long for those who feel stifled, whose soul wants to spread its wings, who feel they cannot unfold their true potential, who cannot live their true, authentic selves, and who have a deep yearning to rise above their circumstances and their current form, who have a deep yearning to finally inhabit and to grow into their true form, their true self, radiant, strong, and free. I long for those who are discontent with everyday reality, who hate the banal, the quotidian, and the drag of everyday existence. I long for those who yearn for something else, for something more, whose greatest wish is to turn life into a fantastic dream, into a fairy tale, into a beautiful, romantic poem. I long for those who don't feel at home in this world, in this reality, in this body, and in the role they are forced to play, be it by nature or by society or by circumstances, and who would like to find or to rediscover their true self and their true home and their inner light. I long for those who feel an instinctive yearning for other realms, who have an inexplicable yearning for the transcendent. I long for those who feel closer to the angels than to humankind. I long for those who ache for beauty, who feel a deep need for beauty, who feel a deep need to aestheticize themselves as well as the whole of existence, who need beauty to survive and to thrive, whose well-being depends on beauty, and who feel suffocated and repulsed by today's ugliness, by the world's ugliness, by life's ugliness. I long for those with whom I can celebrate and create beauty, with whom I can create and contemplate poetry and art, dream through twilight hours and speak of the ineffable and the sublime. I long for those creative souls who have a sense of refinement, who possess the needed touch, the needed patience and the needed resolve to create beautiful labors of love. I long for those who love old crafts, old skills and organic materials, rather than modern machinery and industrially manufactured atrocities, who find modern products and modern architecture loveless, soulless, empty and cold, depressing. I long for those who love good stories and who love to create stories, to invent stories, be it romances or dramas or epics or whole worlds and mythologies. I long for those who appreciate the works of authors such as Keats or Byron or Wordsworth or Coleridge or Hölderlin or Schiller or Novalis. And those who appreciate the works of such artists like the Pre-Raphaelites or Edward Burne-Jones or William Morris or Caspar David Friedrich. I long for those who find the modern world unbearable, who find it unromantic, uninspiring, stifling for their soul, who see in its noise and its haste and its concrete walls nothing but a prison for the soul. I long for those who feel out of time, who feel like they belong in a different age, old souls who are repulsed by and disillusioned with modern life, with the modern world and the modern way of living, who can't stand modern cities and modern sensibilities and modern aesthetics, if you can call it that. I long for those who cherish the timeless beauty of bygone ages, the grace of old architecture, the elegance of historic dresses, the poetry of faded centuries and gilded pages. I long for those who dream of an ideal age, composed of and woven from history's most beautiful and loveliest and brightest and most wonderful dreams. I long for those who love to wander old places, old houses, churches, graveyards, castles, and who can see and feel and appreciate the melancholic beauty of such places. I long for those who would feel equally at home in medieval or Elizabethan or Victorian times. I long for those who love corsets and crinolines and frock coats and top hats and high collars, and who don't mind to be uncomfortable, because to be an aesthetic being is more important to them. I long for those who would like to live in the works of Jane Austen, for example, or the Brontes, or Charles Dickens, or Elizabeth Gaskell, or George Eliot, or Thomas Hardy. I long for those with whom I can reenact scenes from Jane Eyre, for example, or Sense and Sensibility, or Romeo and Juliet, or the Canterbury Tales, or Arthurian legends like Le Morte d'Arthur. I long for those who love period dramas, who watch them religiously, and who would like their whole life to be one big period drama. I long for those who love silence, who appreciate silence, who know how to share silence, how to make the silent air brimming with love and thick with emotion, without saying one single word. I long for those who love the slow and quiet life, who would rather live in a simple cottage in the countryside than in modern cities, who love the rustic rather than the urbane. I long for those who love to revel in melancholic moods, who see in melancholy and in the melancholic not an illness, but something noble, something precious, something elevating, who see the beauty in melancholic sentiment. And I long for those who know existential pain, who are used to pondering life's deep mysteries, who dare to ask uncomfortable questions, and who dare to look into the existential abyss and to find it strangely, frighteningly alluring. And I long for those who can look beyond the shallow surface of reality, who can look beyond the here and now and all its glaring shadows, who can see beyond the narrow confinements of their immediate reality, beyond the arbitrary circumstances of their existence, who are not rooted in the present, but adrift in the metaspace between time and eternity, I long for deep, sensitive, romantic souls, just like myself. I long for an echo, finally, to find an echo. So if you feel like I do, if you feel the same kind of longing, if you feel just half of the kind of longing that I just tried to describe and to convey, if you just feel a quarter of it, then please feel free to contact me, to get in touch with me. I would love to hear from you. Thank you. With all my heart.